14, so he's still in a higher risk to re-tear the other side afterwards. So, I mean, that fits in line with everything that's going on. So even though you're training properly and doing everything, you can still run the risk of re-injury or tear to the other side. So despite proper training, you can still have that occur.
Right.
You know, they talked about I see the plantar fascia tendonitis. I see the torn groin, broken arm. You can't do anything about broken arm.
Right.
I saw something about the torn shoulder. Injured shoulder. There's just so much stuff going on right now. I don't know if, some of it is just bad luck, but it could be maybe he's not going hard enough in practice, which then he tries to go hard in, the competition, and then his body just isn't used to that because, they always say, you play how you practice. It could be that. It could be he's not giving himself enough time in between resting, give himself adequate rest breaks. People want to go hard, but your body, I don't care who you are, you need rest. You need that downtime to let your body recover. Citing some of the injuries, it could be blunt force trauma such as a broken arm. Despite the best training and prevention, at some point there's going to be so much force that breaks the bone. I don't care who you are. Mm-hmm. So it might be some training. It might just be bad luck. But for example, the plantar fascia tendonitis I'm seeing on Wikipedia here. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you can get rid of that altogether very easily, but that's where you need to be more proactive about your injuries instead of reactive, and try to get on top of that stuff before it becomes a problem. Because then, plantar fascia, you're generating so much force when you're kicking and on your plant leg and just everything else associated with that. It's like if it's painful to stay on that foot, you're not going to be able to kick as hard, and just so many other things can go wrong with that. So, he's also 33. I mean, that's old for being a
fighter,
a guy. Yeah,
right,
so
right.
It might just be his body breaking down too. But this goes back to 2012, which is
6 years ago, 7 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So there could be a number of different things without looking more into it, but those are just some of the things I would probably guesstimate that he could be dealing with that.
Well, I thought it was a good question because I know you analyze injuries and everything, but I feel like I know you analyze injuries with football and with the Bills and everything, but this is just a guy that I've always been fascinated by because he's a phenomenal fighter. I mean, he is one of the all-time best, at his weight class, arguably the best ever at his weight class. But he's one of the best champions that there's ever been. And if you look at his Wikipedia page, you'd see like his record breakdown. This guy came back from injury, had multiple injuries, came back, fought for the title, and won it back. And then lost it, and then got hurt again. So I never really thought of it in the way that you are saying it. Never thought of it in terms of maybe he's not training as hard in training, and then fight time he's just going crazy in there, which he does, and that's what ends up leaving him with injuries. His body just can't handle fights. Yeah,
it could be that there. I mean, I wouldn't think he'd be not taking it seriously like Mike Tyson did against Buster Douglas many moons ago. It's not that. But, we've all heard about that, but I think that sometimes maybe guys just go in a certain thing to try to get through it, and then they get out there and they just despite natural talent, their body just can't keep up with it because they're not doing everything they need to do. Once again, totally speculation, but there's correlation with that.
I definitely think that I need to, like, if I ever get some injury news on whether it's a football player, baseball player, I just need to text you the guy and be like, hey, can you look this up for me?
Yep. I've had other people do that, and I don't have a problem looking it up. I mean,
that's awesome.
We're trying to find out what's going on there. So
that's awesome. As far as some of the other players, like who is one player that you've looked at in the past that might have had a career-ending injury that you're just kind of fascinated by? Is there one guy that you look at that kind of just catches your attention?
Regarding the Bills specifically, or just in general?
Just in general, yeah, just in general.
First one that comes up to mind off the top of my head would probably be Adrian Peterson, just with that. I mean, I know this is a few years ago with that ACL tear, but he had a lot of miles on him after the ACL tear, and then come back and run for 2,000 yards.
Yeah, that was.
And then you're looking at everything like he had an awesome season at age 33, I think it was, for the Redskins. Like how he just keeps going. Like he's a guy that he's played hard, he runs hard. He should have broken down a long time ago, but he keeps going. It's really fascinating from a standpoint that he keeps going. I can't explain it, but I want to meet his physical therapist, and it's like, wow, like it's incredible.
What type of training do you think he would do in order to maintain the physique that he's had and to also remain injury-free since that knee injury? I mean, he's had injuries, of course, I'm sure of it, but nothing to the severity of that, right?
Yeah. I would probably say he's probably hanging out with Lorenzo Alexander, because, I mean, Lorenzo, I don't think I've had to write about him. I mean, look at what the guy does. He does Pilates. He's eating, like, he has everything tracked out. He's just very proactive about his health and taking care of everything he needs to. But it's just incredible how, like, proactive they are. But you hear of other athletes, I think LeBron spends like $2 million a year to keep his body up. And, of course, he's still dealing with some stuff. But I think it's just being, mindful of what they need to address. They know the speed might be decreased. So, okay, well, can we still maintain power? Okay, well, power might decrease. Can we still maintain certain different things? So I think they're always just trying to adapt their game rather than trying to stick with what got into the league.
Right. You could, I mean, in your field, you could have I'm sure there's times where you feel like you're having a field day just studying all these injuries and looking into all these players like Bo Jackson, for example. I know my dad's tuning in, and he texted me. He said, "Talk about Bo Jackson." So we'll leave the show with the Bo Jackson, and then I'll promote your stuff because it's legit. Okay, the people need to know, and I'm gonna let the people know.
All right.
So Bo Jackson's injury, take us through that. If you could.
I know a little bit about it. I mean, of course, he's way before my time.
Right. And mine too. Yeah.
Yes, but reading watching the Bo Knows Best or whatever on the ESPN, he had the avascular necrosis, which happened because he was running so hard, it was so powerful that when he got tackled, he got tripped up, and his hip actually popped out of place, and then relocated when he fell down. But as a result, the blood supply that feeds the femur and everything in that acetabulum got kind of shut off. And so as a result of that, because it got pinched and whatnot, as a result of that, the bones started dying, and it wasn't healthy anymore. So he was having all this pain, couldn't do the things he needed to, and it just lost as a result. He did have to get the hip replacement later on, was able to come back to play baseball, which is incredible in itself. But
wow, I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah, he was able to come back and of course, he was a shell of his former self. He basically just said, hey, I came back and I'm able to do it, but I'm done. But, knowing what we know now, Bo Jackson, if he had that today, they would have caught that stuff, and he still could have run the risk of getting the avascular necrosis, but they would have been more proactive and probably prevented all that stuff from happening versus kind of finding out after the fact.
So this guy's hip was literally detached or separated, and
it popped out of socket. That's a deep socket to pop out of there. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is unbelievable.
It's incredible what happened, because they said anybody else would just fell down, but Bo was so powerful. He kept moving, and the muscles were so strong that it popped out. It was a freak thing. It's not likely to happen to other people, but Bo was Bo. So
there was another instance that there was a fighter, and I'm asking you some of these fighter questions because I have some fighter fans listening, that I don't know as much as you know about injuries, but I know that I could ask you a question just like I just did, and you'd just be able to chime it right off. So there was a fighter by the name of Robert Whitaker that he was 6 hours away from defending in his home country, defending his world title, and his appendix burst, and it damaged his intestines. What would you say if someone were to say, like, it went through his appendix burst through his stomach and went through his intestine? Does that sound right?
Yeah, because what could happen is the appendix burst, you could actually get sepsis. So that's where that would be happening. I mean, the appendix was affected or inflamed by a burst, and that's where it kind of spreads through. That's what they mean by that. So it goes through the entire abdominal cavity, and that can cause a lot of problems. I mean, you could die from that.
Wow. So, I mean, it wasn't Dana White pulling out everybody's, heartstrings trying to get anyone to feel sick. Because that has happened before. I mean, they do kind of embellish things, and they say, oh, this happened. But that's legit. He could have literally died from that.
Yeah, I mean, but that's where they want to make sure they get onto that stuff there. So I don't care how tough you are. You're not battling through a burst appendix. You're going to the hospital and get that thing taken care of. So.
Well, my last question for you, as we touch on it, here, part 2 with Kyle Trimble of BangedUpBills.com, at BangedUpBills on Twitter. What are you feeling as far as the Buffalo Bills in 2019? I know the offseason is just starting, but what are your thoughts? Are you as optimistic as me? I feel like I'm the most optimistic Bills fan right now.
I definitely think they're going to take a step forward. I think they'll have a winning record. Whether that winning record is good enough to get to the playoffs, I think that's just how everything kind of pans out. I could see a 10-6, 9-7 record again this year because they still don't have all the pieces in place. I don't care how great the draft you have. It just, those people aren't, some of them can be impact rookies, but you're just not going to get everything all together that quickly. So I don't know that I'm as optimistic, but I'm trying to be more realistic about it. So I know that they're going to take another step forward. They're going to compete, maybe beat the Patriots, hopefully once, maybe twice.
Oh,
but
God, that'd be great.
Going and being in it right till the very end there. So, I think the next few years where we're really going to see that next step where we see Tom Brady hopefully retire or get hit by a car or something. But where we see things really start gelling in place as the big pieces really start kind of, moving forward and guys get better, because we know that, you can come in and be impactful as a rookie, but really to understand the nuances of the NFL to really get everything together. Hopefully everything starts gelling and parlaying into something greater.
I couldn't agree more. And you forgot to mention that they might be the ownerless Patriots. They might be owned by Roger Goodell. That might happen, that situation, okay? Without diving into it too much, because it's pretty disgusting. Let's be honest. But
Benjamin Albright said it best. Somewhere out there, there's a video that no one wants to see, and I'll just leave it at that.
Somewhere out there's a video that no one should want to see. But there are probably people out there that, for whatever reason, unbeknownst to me, they want to see it. And that is the sick society that we live in. But that situation, do you think it's possible that he might be stripped of his ownership?
With the clout that Kraft has, and
probably not, right?
I don't know. We saw Jerry Richardson kind of get forced out, but I don't know. I can't see them going so far as to say we're gonna make you relinquish ownership of the team. Hypothetically you should, but I can't see it being a thing. So
that's where I'm coming from. I'm like, hypothetically, this is like the laundry list of weird circumstances that have surrounded the Patriots the last 20 years. This is, this is nowhere near as bad as Aaron Hernandez. That guy literally, you could kind of take your pick at which one's worse. They're both really bad. We won't outweigh one or the other, but it's just so sketchy, the stuff that has come out these last 20 years about them. The Spygate, Deflategate, Hernandez, Edelman's PEDs, Kraft, and this. I mean, it's unreal. It
is.
I don't know what to even say about it. But
I don't know. It's one of those things that, I guess the more successful you are, the more skeletons you have. That might be what it is. So I don't know.
That's a good point. I would definitely lean towards that for now.
Yeah, we'll keep it at that.
Right.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Twitter has been really funny, though. I'm not going to lie.
It has. I've tried to stay silent because I'm just like, well, I'll just let other people make their jokes and stuff, and I'll just enjoy it.
Did you see the founder of Barstool Sports was on Fox News, and he was with that? I'm not a political guy at all, but Tucker Carlson show where this guy has like these weird guests and he debates them and all that, and he had David Portnoy, who's the founder of Barstool Sports, on his show, and he basically said that it's all a conspiracy. Did you see that?
I heard something about it. I didn't really look into it too much, but I heard about it, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, that's not the case.
It was very disturbing, not only that guy would say that, but the host would, like, give him the platform. It's just like, really? I don't know.
Somebody's going to go on the platform, and everybody's going to be looking up who David Portnoy is and who Barstool Sports is now.
Right.
It's a whole new audience that probably isn't looking at Barstool, but hey, he's going for the clicks and the money,
Right. That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, Kyle, I'm really glad that we were able to do a take two. For those of you that don't know, Kyle, we did do a show, and for whatever reason, the flux capacitor was not on. We didn't get to 88 miles, and it didn't finish. It was just we were riding down the way, and we were about to hit 88, and it didn't happen. But we did do it again. We were able to I think we put together a better show. I asked you some interesting questions that weren't really football oriented either. So it was kind of different. And you learned something new too, that there are guys in MMA that are glass compared to football players. It's amazing what you would find.
They might be glass, but they still kick my ass.
Oh, yeah.
Even made man glass. So, I mean, hey, whatever. So.
Right. And Dominic Cruz could whoop my ass with a broken collarbone, the plantar fascia, and the knee tears and all that. So
yeah. If he breathe on you, you'd just be knocked out.
Right. Yeah, like Chuck Liddell in his last fight. Oh, that was too soon.
Yeah.
But, Kyle Trimble, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Trimble, bangedupbills.com. You can follow him on Twitter at bangedupbills. Kyle is going to be my dude. I told him this the last time we chatted. He's going to be my guy for all injury information. I'm holding you to it, Kyle.
All right, I'll be ready.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
All right, thanks for having me on. Enjoyed it tonight.
Thank you. And definitely I'll have you on again during the season as well.
Yep, I'll be around. I'll be ready to talk.
All right, sounds good. Take care, man.
All right.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Kyle Trimble, bangedupbills.com. Part one on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast YouTube channel. Part two being live streamed right now on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast YouTube channel. I have made it a priority of mine to have guests on the show, and that is something that I am going to continue to strive for. That is something that I am going to keep doing over and over and over again. I'm going to have great guests on the show. And Kyle Trimble is going to be a recurring guest on the show. You heard it here first from the man, the myth, the legend himself, Kyle Trimble of bangedupbills.com, at bangedupbills on Twitter. I tell you right now, there is not many people like Kyle Trimble. There's really not. As far as the coverage, as far as the tweets, as far as all of it. I mean, he is very in tune with injuries. I was asking him questions that weren't even Buffalo Bills related. And part of that was done on purpose, but part of that was done out of curiosity. He's educational. The stuff that he puts out is educational. I wanted to be educated from that interview, and I was. Brought to light things about Dominic Cruz, the former UFC bantamweight champion, that I never even thought of. And I look at myself as the MMA expert in terms of looking at fighters and careers and analyzing some of the fights and things like that. So, Kyle Trimble, ladies and gentlemen, join me on the show tonight. I'm Ryan Thomas. That was the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. That was fun. I had a good time. Let's go Buffalo, go Bills. The future in Buffalo is bright.